Hello friends, myself Dr. Neha Saini. Here I will discuss about the anatomy of hip bone. Here lies the anatomical position of the hip bone in our body. It is forming the hip joint when it articulates with the femur. There are three composite bones which forms the hip bone. So hip bone is formed by three bones, that is ilium, ischium and pubis. These are demarcated in this diagram. Ilium is the upper part, ischium is the posterior part, and pubis lies anteriorly. This is the acetabulum. It is a cup-shaped cavity for articulation with the head of femur. This possess, during development, they are separated from each other by this triradiate cartilage which demarcates the union of the three bones, that is ilium, ischium and pubis. In the acetabulum, there is a horseshoe-shaped facet which is covered in life by articular hyaline cartilage. It is one of the two articular surfaces of the hip joint. The pubis consists of three main sections and has number of interesting features like superior ramus of pubis, which is highlighted in the diagram. This is body of pubis, and this is inferior ramus of pubis. This is obturator crest, and the lower is obturator groove. This is the pubic tubercle. It gives attachment to the inguinal ligament. Pubic tubercle also gives attachment to the adductor longus muscle. Here we can see the adductor longus muscle is the muscle of medial compartment of the thigh. This is the inferior ramus of pubis, which is articulating with the ischial ramus and forms the ischiopubic ramus. This is the body of ischium, and this is ischial tuberosity. Ischial tuberosity is a part of the hip bone upon which the upper body rests when a person is seated. This is known as ischial spine. This is obturator foramen. This is the largest hole in the hip bone. And the ilium also has some interesting features like it has internal surface which is known as medial surface. This is the medial surface. This is the lateral surface, also known as gluteal surface. This is known as body of ilium. And this is the ala of ilium. This is the iliac crest at which we tie our belt. This is the anterior superior iliac spine. This is posterior superior iliac spine. So iliac crest extends from anterior superior iliac spine up to posterior superior iliac spine. Then below we have posterior superior. Below the posterior superior iliac spine we have the posterior inferior iliac spine. And this is anterior inferior iliac spine. Now the gluteal surface, that is the lateral surface of the ilium, gives attachment to the gluteal muscles. This is the gluteus maximus muscle, largest muscle of the human body. This is the medial surface of the ilium, which is divided into two parts. This is the auricular facet. This auricular facet articulates with the sacrum and forms sacroiliac joint. So here we can see the sacroiliac joint. This is the iliac fossa. Iliac fossa gives origin to the iliacus muscle, which is the flexor of the hip joint inserting on the lesser trochanter of the femur. Now the muscular attachment on the hip bone. On the iliac crest, the lateral lip gives attachment to the tensor fascia lata muscle. So this is the tensor fascia lata muscle inserting into the iliotibial tract. Iliotibial tract is this much part, and the rest is, this is the muscle, that is tensor fascia lata. Another muscle which is originating from the anterior superior iliac spine is the sartorius muscle, also known as Taylor's muscle. It is inserting on the upper end of tibia, medial aspect. Then this is the gluteal surface of gluteal surface of hip bone, and from here we have the origin of gluteal muscles. Posterior most part, it was giving origin to gluteus maximus, and the middle we have the gluteus medius. So this is the gluteus medius muscle originating from the gluteal surface of ilium between posterior and anterior gluteal lines. On the gluteal surface of ilium we have three gluteal lines: anterior, posterior and inferior gluteal line. So between posterior and anterior gluteal lines we have the origin of gluteus medius. This is the anterior gluteal line, this is the posterior gluteal line, and this is the inferior gluteal line. So between anterior, this is anterior and this is posterior gluteal line, we have the origin of gluteus medius. Then between anterior and inferior gluteal line, this is anterior gluteal line, this is inferior gluteal line. In between these two, we have the origin of gluteus minimus, and it is inserting on the anterior aspect of the greater trochanter. Then gluteus maximus, it is originating from the gluteal surface of ilium posterior to the posterior gluteal line. So this is posterior to the posterior gluteal line, we have the origin of gluteus maximus. Then piriformis, it is arising from the gluteal surface of ilium at the margin of greater sciatic notch. So this is the greater sciatic notch, and its upper margin is giving origin to the piriformis muscle. Then on the ischial spine we have the origin of superior gemellus, then on the ischial tuberosity we have origin of muscles of back of thigh. One is the semitendinosus muscle arising from the superomedial part of the quadrant of the posterior surface of the ischial tuberosity. This can be understood by this schematic diagram. In this we have drawn the ischial tuberosity as the coma shaped structure. This complete is the ischial tuberosity, and it has been divided into two parts, the upper quadrangular and lower triangular part, by this horizontal ridge. So this is upper quadrangular part and this is lower triangular part. Upper quadrangular part is again divided by this oblique ridge into superolateral and superomedial part. This is superomedial part. It is giving origin to semitendinosus and biceps femoris long head. So these two muscles are arising from the superomedial part, and superolateral part gives origin to semimembranosus muscle. The lower triangular part is again divided into the lateral and the medial part. The lateral part gives origin to hamstring muscle, hamstring part of the adductor magnus, and the medial part is having lodging the fat. So this fat is providing cushion effect during sitting. So here we have given the diagram for semitendinosus arising from the superomedial part of the ischial tuberosity, and this is biceps femoris long head in conjunction with the semitendinosus muscle. It is arising from the superomedial part of the ischial tuberosity. So this is the long head of biceps and this is short head of biceps. Biceps means two heads of a region, long and short. Then this is semimembranosus muscle arising from the superolateral part of the ischial tuberosity. Then this is the quadratus femoris muscle arising from the lateral border of the ischial tuberosity. This is the quadratus femoris. It is quadrangular in shape, that is why it is named as quadratus femoris. Then this is the adductor magnus. It is arising from the inferior pubic ramus and ischial ramus, and also from the ischial tuberosity, lower triangular part of the ischial tuberosity. This is the origin of adductor magnus. This is adductor brevis originating from the inferior ramus and the body of pubis. Brevis means small muscle. Then this is the adductor longus originating from the anterior surface of body of pubis. This is gracilis. This is originating from the inferior ramus of pubis and the ramus of ischium. This is your obturator externus muscle arising from the external surface of the obturator membrane, also the bony margins of the obturator foramen. This is your obturator externus. Now rectus femoris. Rectus femoris muscle is a muscle of your front of thigh. It has two heads of origin, straight and reflected. Straight head arises from the anterior inferior leg spine and the reflected head arises from the groove of the acetabular cavity. This is acetabular cavity. Just above it there is a groove which is giving origin to the reflected head of rectus femoris. Then this is the iliacus muscle originating from the iliac fossa, that is the medial surface of the iliac fossa. So this completes our topic, the hip bone. Thank you.